Hello, Year 4. I'm going to be leading you through your maths today. So earlier in the week we've been looking at perimeter, but today we are starting to look at a slightly different area. It's a bit similar, and sometimes people can get the perimeter and area confused. We're going to try and make sure we understand the difference between perimeter and area, and then find out how we calculate the area of a shape. Okay, so our LO today is I can understand what the area of a shape is. So have a little think for a few seconds. Can you remember what area is? So we know that the perimeter is the distance around a 2D shape. So we've been looking at that over the last 2 days. So it's the distance around the outside, so looking at the length of every side in centimetres and working out the distance around the outside. The area is a little bit different because it's to do with the amount of space inside the shape. Okay, so all of this dark purple stuff that's inside the shape, we're trying to work out that. Okay, so it's not to do with distance anymore, it's to do with everything inside your 2D shape. Okay, so why is it better to use squares to measure area than other shapes? So you might notice that with these other shapes, there are little gaps here. Okay, so it wouldn't actually really accurately measure the whole shape. So we use counting squares because it fills up every single corner. And you can find the area of a shape by counting the squares inside it if your shape is on squared paper. So look at these two shapes here and have a think. Do they have the same area? And how do you know? Oops. So they do have the same area because if I count the squares, this one has 4 and this one also has 4. Okay, so they both have the same area. However, if both shapes have the same number of squares, it doesn't mean that they have the same area. And that might be if the squares are different sizes. So you can look at this shape and you can automatically see that this shape is a lot smaller than this one. Okay, so even though you're counting the squares and they both have 4 squares, this one has a larger area because the squares are larger. Okay, so you have to always double check to make sure if you're comparing the area of 2 shapes, check to make sure that the shapes are the same size. These shapes have the same number of squares. Okay, you can see they both contain 5 squares. And so we say they both have an area of 5 centimetres squared. And this is the unit of measurement that we use when we are calculating area. And you might notice there's a little 2. Okay, you sort of write the little 2 above the line there to show that it's squared. So have a look at these 2 shapes and try and work out whether they have the same area. So let's count. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they do not have the same area. However, that's not the only way that we can work out the area of a shape. We can also work out the area of squares and rectangles by multiplying the length by the width. So the number sentence for this would be 2 times 4, which would be 8. Okay, 2 times 4 is 8, so that is the area of the square. You might also notice that that actually is the number of squares inside the shape. Okay, you can count there are 8 squares, because you can see there's 2 widthways and 4 lengthways. Okay, you've got 4 squares 2 times or 2 squares 4 times. So, can you work out the area of this shape without counting squares? Try to visualize the square as an array. Okay, try and visualize the little squares inside. 5, lots of 5. It might look like this. And you can see that 5 times 5 is actually the same as if we were just counting all of the little squares inside, 5 rows of 5. So the area of this square is 25. And all we need to do is times the length by the width. So try and work out the area of these two shapes. You can pause the video whilst you do this. So the area of our square, again you do 4 times 4, so it's 16 centimetres squared. I could get rid of that one and I would still know the area of this shape. Try and work out how I'd know. So if we think about the properties of a square, I know that this side is 4 and every side will be 4. So I can then times 4 by 4 to get 16. Moving on to our rectangle, we do 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, and that's all it is. Okay, so there's two different methods of working out the area. If it's got little squares inside of it, you can count the squares. If it doesn't, if it's got 2 lengths of the sides, you can times those two numbers together. Okay, width times the length. Okay, good luck on your worksheets today. Have a nice day. Bye.